In this lesson of doing lighting of an indoor setting and outdoor setting, okay, first I'm gonna do an indoor setting. Okay, if this finished product, okay, this finished file tells you how this looks like. Okay, you can see the render in the folder. Okay, if not, you can click on render after opening up this indoor finish file. Okay, you can see that it will take some time to render, especially this part where okay, it is rendering the glass. Okay, that glass is actually make use of ray trace material. Okay, you can see that it is refracting as well as reflecting, right? You can even see the teapot here is a little bit metallic. Okay, and if you notice that this is actually the file we created, okay, from lesson 1. Okay, the table, the teapot, the donuts, and some plates. Okay, but this is a little bit more complex because I've added in things like materials, say wood materials and metallic materials. Okay, even this ray trace material. Now, if you open up the file and study the material assignments, it's actually very easy. Okay, I'll just take you through some of them now. Okay, if you look at the teapot itself and you open up the material editor, okay, this is actually the teapot. Okay, you know that you are selecting the teapot, okay, because this material editor has white triangle lines on top of it. Okay, if you look at the rest, okay, they are triangle lines, but it's not fully white, right? So this signifies that it is used in the scene, okay, but it is not the currently selected materials. Okay, if it does not have any triangle, okay, it means that it is not used at all, right? So as in the case of this, right? And then if I go to the teapot, look at it, okay, I actually check on two-sided. Okay, for specular level, I try to make it look like a metal. Okay, if you see, okay, if you take a look at the glossiness, this will look like a plastic, so I make it 0, so it looks more like a metal. And then if you go into maps, you see that all I did was to put a ray trace reflection and I turn it down a little bit. Right, I don't have to do anything to the ray trace. And if you look at the glass, now this is a slightly complex object. Okay, what I did was I turned down the opacity, okay, to 5, as opposed to 100, which is totally black. Okay, and you notice I have an M there. Okay, it means that I have a map, okay, assigned to this opacity. This specular level will make it more like a plastic. And then you see that opacity has a map here, which is a fall off. Okay, a fall off is basically, okay, first of all, when you apply this fall off material, okay, which is actually gotten from here, okay, you can see that this fall off material here, you need to tweak slightly. Okay, initially it was this perpendicular parallel. I just changed it to Fresnel, just a type of rendering. And then I click on some points. Okay, I add points, click, and then I move the points around, okay, to make sure that the transparency, okay, becomes like this. For example, it's black and then slightly turns to white, okay, meaning this is transparent and this is not transparent. Okay, so that's that part. Okay, now reflection and refraction, I actually did ray trace on them. Okay, and then depending on how much refraction you want, okay, you turned it down, okay, appropriately. And I actually took a little bit of time to tweak this with trial and error. Okay, depends on the scene, depends on the lighting, and also depends on what you are reflecting. Okay, so trying to make it realistic is actually up to you. Okay, you'll spend some time with this. Okay, and how about the legs and the table? Okay, the table. Okay, if I go to my scene, okay, you can see that the table assignment is actually, okay, this color, and tiling is about like that. Grain thickness, make it smaller. Okay, I do not want to have the same texture for the legs because otherwise it will look very fake. Right, so for the legs I assign a different, although it's the same wood, but I make use of different thickness, okay, different mapping. Okay, how is the mapping look like? Okay, editable mesh, you can see it's already an editable mesh. Okay, if you look at the texture editor, okay, this box here, it has a UV map to it. Okay, so in this case, because it's only a box, okay, I didn't assign any editor, I just map it to planar, okay, and it gets rendered like this. Right, so you can see that the grain goes through, which is true of all real wooden table. Right, so this is the scene 1 table, that's all, and all I did was to add a box, okay, which is big enough. I actually flip Okay, I actually flip the editable poly. If I select this, I actually flip the polygons, okay, so that inside you can see, okay, the faces. Okay, as in this case, you can see both because it's already two-sided. Okay, as you can see for the wall, I have it two-sided as well. Okay, because of my lighting, I need the light to know that there are faces there. Okay, and the wall I make it not specular at all. Okay, walls are not supposed to be reflective unless you have a metal wall, okay, or plastic wall. Okay, and I have some noise there. You can see it if I zoom in. Okay, maybe if I turn up the size, you can see the noise. Can't really see it. Okay, probably it's a little bit too similar. So maybe if I make it like that, slightly different. Okay, the objective is actually to make it very realistic. So don't make it too clean, right? So add some noise here and there. Okay, for example, if I off this, you can see that there's slight dots, okay, somewhere around there. Okay, so that's okay. Donut, nothing special. Donut, just some color, not reflective at all. Okay, so that's the texture. Okay, and you notice that I have a camera. Okay, please. Let me just select this. It's my camera. Okay, the camera is looking this way. If I press C, you notice that I'm actually looking at some composition. Okay, there's a rule of third. Okay, if you're looking at the video modules, you know that rule of thirds applies here as well. Okay, you can see the window here, you can see the donuts here, and if you look at the rendering, okay, you know that it looks like there's a sunlight bouncing in through the window. You can even see the reflection of the window, okay, and the shadow casting around the windows as well. Right, so let's examine further. Okay, press P so that it can move around. Okay, because I want to move around perspective view, okay, not the camera. Okay, so you notice that I have a few lights. Okay, one is the sunlight itself, okay, which is a directional light with ray trace shadow. Right, just in the previous assignment, okay, you see that I use shadow map. Now I use ray trace shadow, okay, because sun shadows are usually very harsh and very sharp, right? So I make this into, okay, you look at the directional parameters, you see that I actually change it from a circle, okay, to a rectangle, right? And I change the hotspot and fall off accordingly. Okay, make sure that it fits inside the cube. And if you want to see how I make this cube, is basically I extruded this face, make it smaller, right? And then I deleted the face. It's very simple. Okay, I can show it to you here. Okay, I select on this face. Okay, just that face. Then I extrude. For that I do an insert. Okay, make this smaller. Shape it and move it to where you want. And then I simply delete using my keyboard and you have a window. Right, so that's how it's done. Okay, so I undo. Okay, so you can see the first light is a ray trace target directional light. Okay, ray trace shadows. Didn't change anything. I just changed the color to slightly blue. And what I did was to go to my customize rendering, okay, environment, to change the background color to slightly blue. Okay, so to emulate there's a bluish sky outside the window, right? If not, it'll be totally black, okay, which is not realistic at all, right? That's all I did for the environment. Of course, you can put a picture. Okay, that's very simple. Just click and then bitmap, and then you put a picture of an outside sequence, right? So right now, just want it to be none. Okay, and okay, the camera is there. So let's take a look at the lights. What type of lights did I put? Now again, I have my fake reflection light, okay, which is a directional light, but without a shadow. So it will actually light up from the bottom. Okay, meaning, okay, it's for example, this sunlight is shining here and it's actually bouncing back from underneath the teapot. Right, so that's what that light is doing. Then I have one more light, which is the fill light for this room. Right, that's about all that I have. Okay, so you notice that every scene has a different way of lighting. Okay, every scene is very customized. Okay, so it's up to you to actually, for example, if this is a night scene, you don't have the sunlight casting in, but you can change it to moonlight, like blue, dark blue color, and then you have maybe a spotlight hanging, okay, like a lamp hanging from the top. Okay, and that will be the main source of your shadow. Okay, you have to turn the shadow on from that light instead of the moonlight, right? And that's all for an indoor, okay, scene.